Hey, everybody, we're back for episode 15 of Burning the Red Shirt podcast. I'm your host, Zach Tao. Here with me is Chris K and Andrew Katz, as always. You guys doing all right?
I'm good, man. I'm trying to figure out some player to pick in like round 30 of one of the best ball that I demanded Mike run over Memorial Day weekend. That's still kind of grinding along.
How many rounds went through like the first, like on the actual weekend? Was it like, did it slow down once Monday?
The pace has been fine, but he runs. I don't understand the real purpose behind making them 35 rounds, other than trying to understand where like the players that are really at the fringes of our psyche and bring them into the equation.
I feel like it's definitely a social experiment on all of you to like see how you feel about players that, like you said, on the fringe. Yeah. Like, all right, I know Andrew's targeting him in like the 28th to 32nd round. All right, maybe I should keep an eye on him. Like, I'm thinking that's all he's doing. He's just gathering information on all of
it. He's been I noticed he's taken my boy Shea Wyatt at Tulane a few drafts after I started taking him to begin the season. So I totally put him on Mike's radar, and now I never see him on my teams anymore.
We are influencers. We've discussed this already.
Right.
I was saying something to you pre-show, Zach, about how it was like, this is like ridiculous. It's 35 rounds. Like what does it even matter, right? Like I think the most of them are like 25 or 28, Andrew. They're so deep. I just took, and I will almost be able to guarantee you no one's taken this player in a draft. And this is like literally the ninth of this group in the last 3 months. And we've done 6 championship series, and we've done 2 of the CFF site ones.
Yeah.
Caleb Smith, the receiver of Virginia Tech.
Oh, yeah. Do you get the push notifications, or do you get the email, or you auto draft? So do you turn all that?
I don't auto draft a ton, to be honest. I just I'm always around I'm always on my computer, on my phone, or to some extent.
Kyle seems fairly appeased with your rates, though.
Oh, he doesn't. He did push some. He made a comment about me trying to trade for a 2024 first round draft pick, which I thought was pretty good. So I'll give him that. I thought we had bonded earlier with our Atlanta connection at our DMs, but apparently he felt that meant that he could just take a shot at me. So we'll see. He probably won't watch this, so I don't even care. So we can say whatever we want.
I get the push notifications for every pick, and that one was definitely on it, part of the cluster that I had to actually go into the draft room and like click into the player to understand who we're talking about here.
You didn't know who Caleb Smith was? He caught 2 touchdowns in the spring game.
No, dude.
He was receiver 3 for Tech last year. And I did this after taking Malachi Thomas the round before. Another
when in doubt.
This is how bad Virginia Tech's offense is. I just named off their 2 best players, and Andrew's like deer in headlights.
Dude, I'm down. When in doubt, lean into your homerism.
You have to. Well, there's like upside. The problem is that like the offense is historically not not great. So like, why would you do it? But like, why not? I mean, Tavian Robinson's a 5th round pick now. So
he's a 5th round pick now.
Virginia Tech knows talent. So Hendon Hooker.
There you go. All right. So you guys are in this best ball. I want to kind of steer it toward the mock draft that we participated in.
We.
Yes.
I was stuck being the one who drafted. So which is good for me because I don't do as many drafts as both of you. So
you are our mule.
Yeah, I was the guy to put out there to not really show the hand.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, we can talk about how that draft went. We had all the usual people that are in it. Actually, I'm going to post this on the screen. Give me 1 second. That way we can have it right here. Hold on. And
how did you think it went? You walked out of that room 16 rounds, I believe it was. What was your thought going out of that?
As I got deeper into it, like there were a lot of players that were starting to like pop up in my queue that I'm like, man, I really would like to have him. Like if this were my dynasty team with more than 16 rounds, I would have probably finished the draft a little differently. But the way I had constructed the team already at that point, I would have had like 3 wide receivers at that point. So I was like, if there's only 16 rounds, I got to close out with some wide receivers to kind of balance it out. So it's not just like, oh, he's got 9 running backs. I couldn't do that. So I was trying to be participate fairly in the mock draft without really just tipping guys I like. So the first pick was Jackson Smith and Jigba. Not really a big surprise there. Then Bijan, Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, who I was gonna grab. If he fell to 5, I was locked and loaded on Stroud.
Can you zoom in a little bit here? I apologize. I cut you off.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. Is that?
Oh, no. Better? They just kicked us to analysis. I don't care about analysis.
Yeah, this has scrolled me down, but this is just on the Fantrax page that he posted it on. Can you see that? Or is it just blurry?
It's better. It's
like it looks okay on my screen, but okay. So as you can see, Stroud went the pick right before us, and I was locked and loaded on Stroud. And when he went 4, I had to take Henderson because I thought Henderson was going to go 4. So it was actually between Gibbs and Henderson. So,
I mean, Andrew, you're a Henderson guy, right? I mean, you literally took him 101.
Dude, I love him, but I'm pretty set on going running back in the first round in any scenario this year, just because I don't really love how my teams look when I do anything else, and I feel really strong starting with a few running backs off the bat and kind of just figure things out from there.
So how do you feel about Caleb Williams going 3rd overall?
So one of the scenarios that would get me to deviate from running back, like I would love to grab Caleb and Addison like in rounds 1 and 2 at some point, because it would be so fun to just have that going on, and maybe grab Mario and Die later on and just like lean away from my traditional tendencies and just live a little,
So going into this, seeing this, I thought, okay, this is just Nate being a little bit off the beaten path, trying to make some waves with Lob City's mock draft. And then he actually took Caleb before Stroud in this best ball draft, Andrew, that we're in.
Oh, really?
That? Yeah, he took him. Let me pull it up real quick. But he took him at 109, which, by the way, that was actually very shocked. There was a bunch of surprises in this one. But 109 was Caleb Williams. And then Stroud went to Jared at the last pick of the first round. So I think he's a full believer. And I don't know if it's maybe the Addison stuff that like helped push him over the top. I can't remember previous drafts. Like, did he take Stroud first over Caleb at some point or whatever? But I mean, he seems to be all in. So, I mean, I don't hate it, right? Like, it's literally a Lincoln Riley quarterback. If
on Caleb a team Williams with a horrific defense, and
I mean, if Caleb Williams was at Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley, he'd be a top 5 pick, right? Like, he'd be right there alongside Stroud in terms of value. So I can see it. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's fine. You're splitting hairs.
Uh-oh. I think
Zach muted himself. we got a rock upon which to build our team though with Travion. Like, all right, he's probably not putting up the most points, relative points to his position in the first round, or overall the first most points in the first round. But I think it's going to work out fine, and he's going to be a good asset for your team taking him in round 1.
Yeah, Travion at 105 is a great value as well. By the way, like, I think he's pretty much, like, to me, a top 3 or 4 pick. So you get him right there at 5, like, value if you want to talk about it. But, like, that's a great pick. In my opinion.
Think the very first best ball we did, they're the only ones that I'm in. I think I took Henderson 101. So
sounds right.
I've taken him here too, but I got him at 5. Gibbs, Vaughn, Ali, Perry, Addison, Tillman, Bryce Young went 12th. How do you feel about that run of receivers before Bryce Young?
I think receivers make sense. at the end, like Perry, Addison, Tillman. I think Tillman's the most of a stretch.
Yeah,
per se. I think Worthy is a better receiver than Tillman.
When you see where he went, I'm not mad that I didn't get him because it would have been a complete fallout if he got to me. But I believe he was one pick. We'll go to the second round. And no, he was 2 picks from getting to me. And I was shocked he even made it to where he did. But anyway, start the second round with your ex-Virginia Tech guy, Hendon Hooker. And you got Malik Cunningham, Braylon Allen, Jermaine Burton. Do you think that's a good pick there at 2-4?
He's always going in the second round at this point. I mean, all of it looks
like if that's you at that pick and Worthy's on the board, who are you taking? Worthy, right?
Oh, yeah. I think
Worthy.
I'm taking Worthy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like necessarily a reach to take him there. I'm more so saying that everybody passed on Worthy. Like, I'm wondering if people were like, they just didn't realize he wasn't there because they've done so many drafts where he's already gone. And
I think if we're being completely honest, and I'm a big fan of Josh, this seems like one of those like sneak it in, take Burton. So like if something happens on the road, you could say, hey, like let me look at this random draft from mid to late May where I took Burton over Worthy. Like I knew what was up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Josh isn't going to listen to this. So again,
but
you know, like I don't know. I think that screams more diversification of receivers than it does like pure one-to-one talent, because I know Josh is a Worthy guy. So like it'd be hard for him to justify that in a big money league. What would he do in a big money league? He ain't taking Burton over Worthy.
So I noticed a lot, and it probably happens a lot more since I don't do a whole lot of drafts, but I noticed a ton of runs in this draft. Like when like a position would go and then somebody would take another one, the 3 or 4 people would just start piling on that position because they knew it was getting thinner by the second. But you've devalued, I guess that's not the right word. Like you've actually increased the value of the other positions because you've let me get deeper into the draft to be able to get them. As you can see right here, there were 4 wide receivers in a row: Burton, Dell, Worthy, and Johnston. And then we came around at the 8th pick in the second round with Lou Nichols. I know Andrew's not a huge fan. We've talked about him on the show before, how we don't love him in the first round. But I felt like at this point, it was a great value pick near the end of the second. How do you guys feel? Andrew doesn't like it. I know that.
Yeah, I would have gone Charbonnet over him.
Well, of course,
funny
I would have. I was going to say that's probably like the best value of a pick, in my opinion.
It's funny because I was on the fence between both of those guys, and I said, you know what? I think Nichols. I'm just going to take Nichols because I think I've seen him late first round, early seconds, more so than I have seen Charbonnet. But
so I think there are comparisons to Brendan Armstrong that have some similarities and some differences to them, right? Like I think the similarities are like stud performers last year, high volume, high production, and then the different, and then also, right, like new offensive coordinator, right? Like new coaching staff potentially that could change the style of play. And while Nichols has a ton of talent, like he did a lot of that in the MAC where he had 30 to 40 touches a game. And so I think a lot of people are worried about Armstrong because it's like new coaching staff that's not worried about volume, but we're worried about like style. So like some different changes, and that might impact the volume a little bit. But with Nichols, the volume is very impactful, right? Like there were games he'd run 28 times for 140 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, wow, he is very talented. Like not everybody's getting 28 carries. So I don't hate the pick at all. I think there is upside to it, right? Like Kobe Lewis is back. There's a new offensive coordinator that hurts his value, right? But, like you're taking a guy that literally was a superstar. And to some extent, there are times where we have to just say like superstars are going to be superstars. So, but I would have taken for sure Charbonnet. I wouldn't have taken Downs. I wouldn't have taken Mayer. I wouldn't have taken Tavion Thomas. So it's not like I don't think you made some egregious pick. I just think with Charbonnet on the board, I would have taken him. But I do like the pick.
Was this start one tight end?
Yeah.
I'm having such a tough time. So Greg's Champion Series leagues that we do 2 drafts a month for, they're all start 2 tight ends with double PPR for tight ends as well. So so much of my calibration of value of tight ends is based on that because I'm doing those drafts twice a month. And then trying to right set relative to more traditional one tight end. Like I feel like I'm struggling to do so. And based on the recent drafts we've done, I feel like when the top tight ends start going from draft to draft has been super inconsistent. Like, okay, Mayer went here in the second. I took him in the third and Mike's over the weekend. He fell to the 5th in another, and he just went, I think, in like the 4th in in the one we're doing right now that we just started today. So
I mean, Bowers went 5th.
It feels
in the
very
same
all
one.
over the map.
It's crazy. I think that's both of those guys are like 3rd, 4th rounders, like the very bottom of it. Well, so it's very interesting to see them go further.
And then in Greg's league, Mayer goes 3rd pick of the draft because of those the wild scoring.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't even plan on taking a tight end because I knew that the price on the top 2 or 3 guys was going to be way too high to even consider them. So when Mayer went 2nd round, I said, no, I know Bowers is probably coming shortly after this. Like I said, it goes and runs. So when they panic, so they got to get the tight end. So now they'll get Bowers. So we'll go to the 3rd round. Just 3rd round? Yeah. And actually, nobody grabbed Bowers in the 3rd round. I thought they did, but I think it's the 4th. So the 3rd round starts with Miles Price, wide receiver from Texas Tech, then running back Jordan Mims, Dwayne McBride, Will Shipley, and then we come back in with the 5th pick at quarterback Sam Hartman. I was kind of stuck here. I had like 3 or 4 guys that I was kind of going in between, and I just said, you know what, let me go ahead and grab a quarterback now because I think there's going to be a few that I was targeting kind of that would go, and I'm not sure they'd be available if it came back around to me. You guys thoughts on that?
The 3rd round is I find it so challenging this year because all the elite running backs are gone by the 2nd round. And I feel like generally there's a bit of a gap between between those running backs that go in the 2nd and then what's the next tier of running backs. So a lot of times I feel like we're seeing that running backs don't go much in the 3rd round, but some definitely kind of leak into there, just variable based on people's draft strategies. And also there's some receivers that I really like in 3rd round. Sometimes I'm able to get them, sometimes I'm not. And if I'm not, I kind of throw in my hands and I don't really know what to do with that pick. And in that instance, maybe I should start leaning into an early quarterback a little more. Yeah. If a Hartman's there, like he's awesome. That offense is awesome. They're just gonna be in shootout after shootout all day. So it's fine. I think that it's a fine pick.
I like Hartman. I think same reasons, right, that Andrew just said. It is such a weird spot because it feels like there's so much juice in the top 2 rounds for whatever position you want, and then it's like you either have to be gung ho on quarterback, which you're like super happy with Hartman, or like a Bryce Young. Like we just did this one today, right? Like Bryce Young was in the 3rd round, so was Hendon Hooker. Like you're pretty excited about that. But if you're not team early quarterback, it gets to this weird spot where it's like, are you super excited about Rashee Rice, like Marvin Mims, Booty? You know, does Marvin Harrison make it? Like, it's just a bunch of like, it's this question mark land, right? Because like all of them have a bit of question marks. There's the provenness goes down a bit. You know, I think everybody in this 3rd round are good picks. I think like Miles Price is probably one of the better picks. I think Sean Tucker is like nailed on value there. Gabriel feels high. Shipley, in my opinion, is like a round and a half high. But otherwise, it's more preference, right? Like if you want to go quarterback, like Will Rogers is a great pick in the 10th spot of that round. But if you don't want to go quarterback, then like I can see him dropping another 10 picks. Like it is a very interesting round. This weird, I was drafting earlier and I'm like, I have the mid-second round pick. I was like 207. I took Tavion Thomas, but in my brain, I'm like, I want Nathaniel Dell, but like that feels high for him. Do I get him in the third round? So I just took the risk. It's just a weird spot. It's a weird spot. Unless you love quarterback, then you're almost always going to get a good guy there.
All right. So like you kind of named off the rest of this third round. Tucker, Harrison, Gabriel, Rice, Rogers, Marvin Mims, and Butte to close out. And now the fourth round. This is where I'm going to tell you this round, I took my guy, but I really was kind of bummed that Zach Evans went third in this round. I was hoping he fell because I was going to grab him. But I took Stephon Cobbs. How do you guys feel?
I mean,
it's a bit of a reach. I feel it's a bit of a reach. But I wanted to make sure I got him.
Cobbs. So he's been moving up. I in hindsight, maybe I should have drafted him more often when you were able to get him in the 6th round, like a month or two ago, because that's a pipe dream at this point. He's going like 3rd, 4th round in all the drafts that we're doing now. So that's super annoying, right? So I mean, there's nothing. I don't think you reached at all. I think that's fine, and he's a rock star, so that's cool. I've managed to talk myself back into drafting Zach Evans in recent drafts, so I feel happy about that. Because I was leaning away a little bit just because I was hoping to see his draft stock move down a little bit into maybe round 5 or something like that, with a lot of the quotes about how he doesn't want a full workload and Bentley transferring in, but he stayed pretty static in the drafts we've been doing. So I was never getting him just because I was kind of hoping he would slip, but happy to be back on the train.
So Chris's guy, Cameron Ward, went 2nd in the 4th.
There's one player I can confidently say I will not own or draft, I should say, this offseason. It's Cameron Ward. Like, I mean, unless it's a dynasty, in my opinion, it's a non-starter. He's getting drafted in the 4th round here. Like what? Yeah. 5th round, right? Like there's not even close to a chance. Zach Evans, I can understand why you'd want it. I think honestly, Brock Bowers is probably the best pick there in the 4th round. But like everybody else, I think Cobb's a great pick. Like Cobb's went 3rd round this morning, so like. I mean, like, I don't feel like you should feel like that's a reach at all. Like, if he's getting taken in the 3rd round somewhere, then
I need you guys to tell me that because I took him because
completely reasonable, right? Like Shaker was a first, end of a 1st, 2nd rounder last year. What's the difference? Yeah. Right, you have a more experienced quarterback. Like, I don't see why that's a negative, right?
The difference. Can he stay on the field? I think that's really the issue because he's actually more explosive than Shakir was all around because he's a kick returner, punt returner, all of it. I mean, Shakir did it too, but I think Shakir was just more, shifty, agile, all that stuff. But I think Cobbs is more of a game breaker than Shakir was.
I think we can move to the next round here in a second, but I think as we look at the quarterbacks taken here, I just ask why. Like, why would you go Ward? Why would you go Quinn Ewers? Why would you go John Reese Plumlee when you passed on some studs in the 3rd, and then you're going to see guys going in the 5th and 6th? I think, and that's a learning thing, right? Like,
or the 7th round, you'll see who I got in the 7th round.
There's a bunch of good players. Yeah. It's weird. I feel like you have to go quarterback the first 3 rounds. You take Rodgers maybe in the early 4th, or you just wait. Like I think there's just a lot of different guys 6, 7, 8 rounds that are way better than, and like, by the way, Quinn Ewers could have lasted easily.
Like, it makes you wonder, like, when a guy gets taken, you're like, okay, that's kind of a reach. Like, how much longer did you have before he would have even been considered again?
Right. So I'm sorry, I see Bailey Zappi here. Is that a
it's actually a placeholder. I don't remember actually who it was for.
Okay. Sorry. I just was,
but I remember when it happened, I was like, okay, I know I'm not all as well read up on all this stuff as a lot of these guys. I'm pretty sure he's in the NFL. But as far as this round, like, I needed wide receiver, and I actually had Franklin and Cropper right ahead of Wicks, who I ended up taking. But I like that. I don't mind the pick. I like it, but it was kind of disappointing that I couldn't get the other two. How you guys feel?
I'm kind of sketched out on Wicks, I think, just with a lot of the widely discussed uncertainty surrounding that offense. Like, he strikes me as one of the players in that offense whose role it could be most in flux, and their production could be most in flux. We're in round 5 here. I mean, it's not bad.
Right.
But I don't know if I necessarily would have gone in the same direction. Dude, is that Nick Singleton in the end of the 5th round?
It is.
Dude, Lob City just fucking blowing up the draft.
I remember actually when it happened, somebody said, way to like completely throw off his ADP. Who I don't remember who said it, but I remember.
That's why we don't include much.
You are unaware of the C2C component of this draft.
Apparently. I was just filling in, guys. I was just here to be a warm body.
So you don't get fined. Yeah, I get it. I appreciate it. Yeah. I would say I like Wicks. I think this is really close to his value. I mean, I get it, right? Like, the thing with Wicks is that he's like a high yard per catch guy, and if he could easily be fined, but he could easily be crushed by this new coaching staff, right? Like, I think Armstrong, to me, is a little bit safer in terms of the changes. A guy like Wicks is in trouble potentially.
Yeah.
I think
Lavelle Davis is coming back too.
Lavelle Davis is coming back, and he's starting to kind of rise up boards a little bit as people see him become like continue to be healthy. I mean, the thing is, right, though, if you like Wicks, you're not getting him in the 6th round at that slot. So, if that's a guy that you feel like, pounding the table for, then go for it. I think that's a fairly reasonable pick. But if you pass on him, you're not getting him in the 6th. So, like, I think it's fair. I don't have any issue with that. I mean, looking at the other players behind him, none scream a guy that, like, I would just very much want over him.
Right. All right. So I'll go ahead and move this along. 6th round. Who did I take in the 6th round?
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. This is
Lob. Lob ruining ADP since 93.
Oh, man. They got Chris's guy, Ontario Brown.
I think you just named that randomly. I don't have Ontario Brown anywhere. I meant
Andrew.
I was going to say, I made one comment.
Sorry.
Potentially trading for him. And
Andrew.
Exactly. There we go.
Parker Washington, Isaiah Bowser, Mac Hippenhammer. That's your guy. Hippenhammer, right?
Hippenhammer is my guy.
Yeah. And then I took Keaton Mitchell. I know you guys don't, at least Chris, I know you don't really love this pick. But I kind of went like just safe production there. I went another running back because I didn't love a ton of the receivers that were on the board. So I went another running back, and that's who I took.
I'm starting to warm up to him. I've taken him more recently, actually, in the 6th round. So I'm definitely warming up to him. I think it was more a matter of like me just not fully understanding his role in the offense and like him compared to, I think, Rajah Davis or whatever his name is.
They run it so much, or they were last year. Like they were. I definitely felt like they were doing the 1A 1B thing where they would each get a series, but Keaton was the 1A who like sure. Always like got the more meaningful touches. His drives were more successful. Like he was gonna, if one of them was gonna have a big game, it was always him.
Yeah, and I think I realized that over time of like
just looking at box scores and then just like watching other people draft and seeing like, okay, like, am I just crazy for thinking that like maybe his box scores seem legitimate, but was too scared to pull the trigger? But this is where it feels like things get interesting. And by the way, like it's weird, right? Like we say this is way of an overdraft or way under draft or something, right? Of a player. But like, I think that's why you have to kind of mix things up. If the same 12 or 14 guys are always drafting, like you're never going to get a difference. So, as much as I think like a Zay Flowers in the 61st pick is just absolutely incredible. Like it's stuff like that helps give you like a true ADP, because like there's, I don't know, 150 people playing college fantasy football in America. Like it's not just all about the 12 of us.
So 158. Yeah.
This is completely like next level, like DGen stats, but I was looking at like his situational stats, Keaton Mitchell. So he had 174 carries on the year. How many of them do you think were on third and fourth down combined?
8.
I don't even know.
12.
I don't even know where to start.
12 carries. So he had 95 carries on first down. So like they just lead every drive, just hammer the ball. Boom.
That's like, some split series. So like that means they're getting, and he's pretty good in the passing game, right? So
yeah, not bad. I think he only had 22 catches, but I mean they did use him. So he had 10 catches on first down. So I just said, look, we'll just give him the ball. All right. Let's move on. Any other picks? Tavion Robinson. I know he's been like shooting up the board in drafts. Isn't that the one that's been? Didn't he go in like the third round in y'all's best ball?
Fifth round today. Yeah.
Okay, so
he was. We talked about him as a sleeper, and that was under the premise that he was like in the teens. But all of a sudden, he went. I mean, I swear, if I wasn't lazy, I'd look up like what we were drafting a month ago, and he would 100% be in the 20s or the late teens. And now he's being picked in the 5th and 6th round. This is nuts.
Yeah.
I think this just proves that Andrew's influencer knowledge is just rubbing off on the rest of us. Because, part of me was, and I'm sorry, we're going to go off ad lib here. Part of me was like, I want to talk to Andrew and Zach. Let's pick a player that's somewhat decent. And like, let's just try to shoot him up the boards. Like, let's just hype him up. Let's just all get invested in best balls and like slowly creep them up, right? And I just decided not to, for obvious reasons.
And then come season, we don't even touch them, right? We let everybody like reach for him in the 4th round, and then we just back away.
We just
a true pump and dump.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
all right. So this round, actually, we'll talk about the quarterback I got, but there was a couple guys that I was actually kind of shocked that I didn't grab earlier. Travis Dye and Raheem Sanders at the end of this round. Like I probably should have gone one of those two instead of Keaton Mitchell in the other round. But, this round I felt like Armstrong, the value for my second quarterback that I have to start 2, I felt like that value was too good to pass up.
Yeah, it's insane. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I think Brennan Armstrong's a great pick there. I actually like Keaton Mitchell more than Dye and Sanders, and I have a ton of Dye. I think that's a great pick.
I'm getting so close to pulling the trigger on Dye every single draft because, like, if you assume his role is what we want it to be, like, you can easily argue first, second round player, and he was so amazing last year. Once he took over too, so there's not that much that needs to go right that is variable for it to pay off super meaningfully.
So there's another topic that we were going to talk about, but I want to go ahead and like squeeze it in right here. So Torrey Horton went first pick of the 7th round. We were talking pre-show about Dante Wright and why Andrew is fading him. Andrew, do you have?
You're hyper-focusing it, which is fine because it's potentially a multi-hour conversation. I mean,
I got to squeeze.
I wanted to talk about it more through the lens of just the context of what fading a player in college football should mean, college fantasy football should mean versus how maybe it's widely viewed. I think that so I have a whole list of players that I have zero interest in at any price whatsoever. And Dante Wright has been on that list. And fortunately, we've definitely gotten news in recent weeks that makes it seem that he's not going to be a super paramount role in this offense this year. So it's making me feel smarter than I probably am. But I think that when you talk about fading a player, you need to be all the way out, more so than potentially through when you think about that word through the prism of DFS or just playing other sports as well, because pretty much every player in college football, their floor is actually zero. So if you have a meaningful opinion about that player, a strong opinion about that player, and how you actually think his season is going to play out, I think that you need to take an actual stand there.
Yeah, so I think I understand what you're getting at. Like, if you aren't willing to really risk it for Dante Wright, like in the 12th round, you're like, I'm just going to stay away altogether. Versus, what round will I be comfortable?
Do I take him at 18? Do I take him at 19?
Because if nobody else is taking him either, you're kind of like, well, maybe I do need to be all the way out on it. So if you're kind of iffy on a guy, I guess that it makes it tough.
I think Andrew's right. I love Andrew's always had the stance of like, if I'm believing in something, I'm believing in something. I think Andrew's not an idiot, right? Like he's being, like Rice being taken like anywhere between 7 and 12, right? Like in terms of rounds. If he was there in the 25th round, Andrew's taking Dante Wright, but that's just not realistic. Like that's just never going to happen. But I mean, I don't know. I think that's a good stance to have. It's such an interesting situation with all these new offenses, all these transfers and stuff. Like there's just a lot in play and there's a lot of that goes into it. So,
all right, 8th round. Let's go ahead and move this along. Ibrahim Jurasek. That was the tight end I was looking at, but I wasn't going to grab him in this round, even if it got to me. Tyrone Tracy, Tanner Mordecai. That was one I was so iffy on when to take him. Because like I felt like he could have gone anywhere, like from the 4th round, 3rd round, all the way back to where he is now, and I just stayed away. I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go with other positions.
I think everybody was super in on fading Mordecai. All the usual suspects, right? Everybody was thinking Preston Stone was gonna be the guy, and now the same guys are going Mordecai in the same range. And I can respect the fact that people want to try to get like a little bit of value on like a Preston Stone in that offense because you get him in like round 10 to 12 instead of having to pay for Mordecai in 8. But like, I don't know. I will take my chances more often than not that a guy that just was like a stud quarterback is going to beat out the highest rated recruit. Like, and I will be burned 100% at times, but I just will take my chances on a Mordecai type for sure.
It's just Occam's razor, right? Like, which is the easiest path to actually seeing this playing out? Like, do I need 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things to happen to actually see this arrive value, or do I just need Mordecai to continue to set the world on fire?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, as long as Mordecai has been healthy and above average, he was going to be the quarterback.
Yeah. I feel like a sellout not having drafted him at all yet this year, considering how deeply in love I was last year and how it played out great. Like it was a fun experience.
I mean, he was incredible. It was nuts. I mean, he kind of faded into the.
Well, yeah, that's what Sonny Dykes does, though, right? Every single year, every single team start off 6-7-0, 8-0, and then things come crashing and burning the last third of the season, and then he's out.
Yeah. Okay, then we got let's see. After Mordecai, it's Cowing? It's Cowing, right? Jacob Cowing, or is it Coing?
Maybe
Cowing.
Either way.
Then Mario Williams, and then Jake Hayner, and then I took Marquez Cooper. Admittedly, that's my guy that I couldn't resist.
I like Cooper, right? Andrew, you like Cooper, don't you?
Dude, I guess like the
he likes the guy coming up better.
He's 5 foot. He's 5'5". Like it's so difficult for me to believe that this guy's can continue to see like 25 carries.
I can't help thinking that it's just Dree Archer over again.
Yeah,
but his carries are so soft, like they run up to the line, they do some no huddle stuff, and then he like runs into a pack of people, and he's not even getting tackled. He's really just getting no forward momentum, but nobody can see him. So the hits are not piling up. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like defies all logic that like a 5'5" guy could be an 8th round pick running back.
They have no issue like just keeping him in the game at the goal line and giving him like 3 carries inside the 10-yard line either, which is like, it's so ridiculous, but that matters to them is going fast. And I appreciate that. I respect that.
Kent State coaching staff is literally what every fantasy player wants in any offense. They go super fast. They go nonstop. They're not afraid to pound the 5'5" running back. And like at the 1-yard line, they're like, yeah, of course I'm going to give it to the 5'5" running back. and nobody else does that.
They're everything we want, and they're actually creative. Like, so did you watch any of their last 2 or 3 games when they started playing Crum and Schlee at the same time for entire drives?
I did not. I wish
maybe not entire drives, but it was like a representative portion of their play calling. That they called it like the crab package. I don't really understand why. Like, I don't understand what the like CR is presumably for Crum, but I don't understand where the AB comes from. But yeah, dude, like they had some wild trick plays, and then sometimes like they would just both be on the field, and only one of them would like do anything meaningful. But I guess it was like as a decoy more than anything else. But like that creativity is cool to see, especially like just because you're a fast tempo air raid Bryles offense, whatever you want to like adjectives, descriptors you want to use. Like you're probably going to be fantasy friendly more or less, but there's still a lot of those things that those offenses do that really like boggles my mind. Like every time I read about a coach that talking about the offense that he's implementing that is going to be like a numbers game offense where it's going to be like, okay, light boxes we're going to run, heavy boxes will pass. I don't understand that philosophy where you just allow the defense to tell you what plays you're going to call. Like, isn't that just being reactive relative to the defense, and B, you don't think the defense knows that you're doing that? Like, like why are you just telegraphing what your play calling is going to be? And Tulsa's done this for years, and I've read it. I've definitely read it a few times. Like it's a very common philosophy, and I find it so weird.
Like take what the defense gives you, like to the truest form.
Yeah,
it's the whole, like we come up to the line with a certain package, and then we look at what the defense is giving us theory, right? Like, they bring the safeties up and we'll pass it. But like that defies the fact that like the safeties could come up and then just immediately drop back. Right. Like, I don't know. I think you got to know what your strengths are.
Your good defenses are going to disguise everything anyway. So,
yeah.
All right. After I took Cooper, Anthony Richardson went here. And I know like there's a lot of like split opinion on him. Like he's either going to be a superstar or he's just going to be another, just typical Florida quarterback that, he might be okay, but just doesn't really do it for you. You guys have any extra thoughts on him or no?
I mean, the most highest of high upsides with probably the lowest of low downsides, right? Like I think
he's a boomer bust.
I don't see me ever taking him in like a redraft. Like if I got him in a dynasty, like I'm not smart enough to draft him as like a young guy, so I'm not concerned about it. But like, I don't know, like that's a pure best ball type. And the problem is he's going pretty high, like 8th round's pretty legitimate capital here. So like, I mean, maybe I'll have a sprinkle, but like, I'd rather Schlee.
Yeah.
He's got like 3 weeks where he's an auto X, like not going to be anything. And then a guy like Richardson.
Okay.
Yeah. I've definitely been super close to drafting Richardson a few times and haven't done it yet. And I think it's going to come down to him and a couple other players as well, where I'm basically just praying that they don't make me look like an idiot and become like the number 1 overall player. And it turns into like not having Zappy on your team last year. Like I don't have a meaningful, strong opinion on him just because what Chris said. Like you can craft an argument really that can go either extreme, and it wouldn't, if it played out like that, I wouldn't be super surprised. So you're talking about your 8th round pick
Yeah.
And it could absolutely go up in flames. Or, I mean, yeah, it could come close to winning you the league as well.
All right, 9th round. I wanted this guy, DeQuan Finn, as my next quarterback.
Your boy.
He was going to be that 5th pick, but that would have been my 3rd quarterback, and we only start 2, and you only have 16 rounds. So, which wouldn't have been a terrible pick. Whatever, he went. Then Mike took Alabama to take the first defense in the 9th round. And I think that's when everybody just said, okay, now we'll move the defenses up the board. Corey Kiner went 3rd, and then Jackson Dart went 4th in the 9th round. And I think I don't know if it was us that was talking about it, but that he's falling down. I think, Chris, you may have posted it from the.
Yeah. He's falling. And I think it's just the spring game. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, he was probably a 4th or 5th or 6th round quarterback. And now you're seeing him taken as late as I think I saw him in the 11th round available and taken. So I don't know. I mean, you're talking about a Lane Kiffin quarterback, and he's got talent. He's got pedigree. He's shown to have some skills. And I think, I don't know, I said it on Twitter. I think people get bored and they just want to create reactions on Twitter regarding spring training or spring games. And I think some of it's legitimate. I think some of it's completely BS. And I think I would lean towards the BS on this one, but I could be completely wrong.
Okay. All right. So then we took Tyler Harrell, 5th in the 9th round. I admittedly, I was running out of time. And I got really nervous, and it was beeping at me. The new Fantrax draft room really had me flustered for a minute because it really starts chiming at you when it gets 10 seconds, I think, or maybe it's 15. I don't know. It's when it gets down close, you start panicking. And that's who I ended up taking. I needed another wide receiver anyway. I think he has a lot of high upside, right? At Alabama, he's going to be the deep threat, and Bryce Young can just lay it out there for him, and he's going to outrun almost anybody.
Well, the problem is either that happens and you feel really good about that, or, well, if that happens, our Brooks bet does not look good. So
no, it doesn't. But
I mean, our Brooks
that bet already
bet is
so
just.
Stupid.
I mean, it's literally the tallest midget competition.
Well, we didn't expect 2 guys from the portal. We expected Addison, and we were wrong there. Although Addison leaving did happen not long after we had brought it up.
Yeah, that's a dub for the pod.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, I went Harrell. Who cares? It's a mock.
Yeah, exactly.
9th round. All these other picks are kind of blah. Chase Brown's okay, but let's go to the 10th round. I really liked Puka there at the beginning of the 10th round, but I didn't get him. So I ended up taking right after Ja'Cory Brooks, ironically, I took Jalen Knighton from Miami, running back. And I noticed, I think was it Andrew that you asked, why is he falling, or was that you, Chris?
Yeah,
Andrew.
It was me, but I haven't drafted him anywhere yet, but it's noticeable that it seemed like he was going a lot higher earlier in draft season. I haven't seen anything meaningful in the way of reporting about, for instance, him in more of a committee role, or how Gaddis is planning on deploying his running backs. I know he didn't really do much this spring, but he was so good last year. Why would he not have a role in an offense that we expect to be successful and maybe trend a little more toward run, just based on what we saw Gaddis do as OC last year? Right. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think there's any good reason for his stock to fall. So it's cool I think it's cool to get him here for sure.
Yeah. So there's an observation I also made. It was a 16-round draft. You only start 2 quarterbacks, so everybody was kind of limited to 3 quarterbacks for the most part. So there's quarterbacks that I see that are being taken. I feel like if it were a bigger roster, I feel like some of these quarterbacks may have gone a little earlier than they did.
Oh, definitely.
Devin Leary in the 10th round. he could have easily been a like top 7, top 8 round pick.
He goes around here. How do you feel about him?
I like him a lot. I don't like him more than Finn, but I like him a lot.
Well, he just doesn't have the rushing upside, right? Like I think Devin Leary is more of your like typical high floor kind of limited upside guy because like he's just not going to provide the rushing value that you would want to beat out a guy like Finn, and the same with Van Dyke that you're highlighting, right? Like I mean, I would throw money that both of them have 30 passing touchdown type seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they'd have to throw for like crazy passing yards and like get a bunch of QB sneak touchdowns for them to be better than like an 8th round quarterback. And I think that was kind of what like I think in some of the DMs that some of the guys were having in within that group, this mock was like Spencer Rattler, like he wasn't picked. But like part of that's because like what's Rattler gonna do, right? Like I actually like Rattler. Like I think he's got some talent, enough legs, and some good weapons in a weak division. And I still have a hard time picking him in the top 16 rounds because like he's just more of a passer, and it determines, you know, if you don't have the rushing capabilities, it's hard to go high on a guy like him.
That's fair. All right, let's move to the 11th round. I took Hassan Beydoun, another one of my guys. He's a PPR machine. I believe he had like 94 catches or 97 catches last year. I think for like 1 touchdown though. Like that was the problem. That was the problem. But like I'll take my chances with somebody catching 94 balls and finding the end zone more than once if he does it again.
Chris just took him.
I just took him. I took him. I had 2 drafts, 2 picks I just took. And I took.
But are we getting applauded for how we're multitasking right now, or are we getting berated in the side chats?
I have 3 things. 1,
he had 4 touchdowns, not 1.
Hassan Beydoun. What are they doing abbreviating Eastern Michigan to EMI? Like I feel like they got to do better than that. The second one is I just took Brew McCoy at 30th round.
Amazing.
Y'all just feeding me him like at this point. Like I just come on, guys. So,
that's way later than we took him in this draft. But
I don't know what my third point was because that just blew my mind.
All right.
I can't believe y'all let me have him in the 30th round.
Other notable pick was Ellis Merriweather. We've talked about him a bunch.
Great pick.
Dog.
Yeah.
Great pick.
All right. 12th round. Halani went 12th round, but I ended up taking.
Hold on, you're skipping over Laub, continuing the draft for the C2C draft with his 11th round pick.
Huh?
With Jarrett,
Raheem Jarrett.
Yeah,
he was on my list, but he was like little.
I think Jarrett's fallen. I think I took him fairly early, not fairly early, but like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 type rounds early, and now he's just like slipping, which is weird because Maryland just will chuck it, and Tagovailoa is not a runner, so like how are they going to score? So it's just interesting to me, and that might become a good value in the end.
Yeah, I've come close to taking him and had him on like a list of things to do at a certain point, and it just hasn't happened yet. But I mean, everyone rightfully is so put off by him not excelling in this dream world scenario last year where Demos, or however you say his name, blows out his knee, right? And it's just Jarrett and a ton of scrubs getting 40 targets a game from Talia, and Jarrett still couldn't transcend to like true alpha status in that role. Like he was a face in the crowd. Like he would always get catches. He would get high double-digit yards. Yeah, he'd get a touchdown a lot of weeks, but like it was for a guy with 5-star pedigree and having the seas just part for him to absolutely go nuclear. Like it felt like his end-season output left a lot to be desired.
What's really interesting is I had no idea, and I just took, and shamefully I took this guy a couple rounds ago. I was like, man, who was the receiver from Maryland that like just had a lot of success? That like kind of stole that thunder, and it was Brian Cobbs, and now he's at Utah State.
And the Corey just took the other guy, Carlos Carrier. He went to some Mac school. I forget which one though. I think it might be Central Michigan.
He did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think he went around 30.
All right, so we're gonna try to run through these last few rounds because we got a couple of things.
You don't want to do more Maryland receiver talk?
I would love to normally, but we got a few more rounds to cover, and then I got to, do the. We'll get
there. We'll get there.
So we took tight end in the 12th round. We have to take one. We took Brant Keithy there in the 12th. 13th round we took Cordero as our third quarterback in the 13th round. And I think I was in the chat with you guys when I was like lining up this pick.
I think you felt bad about it. And me personally, I was like, yeah, dude, go for it. Like you should. And you were like, well, but do it if nobody says anything. And I'm like, but you should.
Yeah. All right. There's our guy, Tyler Shuck, again in the third.
Tanner Mordecai syndrome.
There's Sam Pinckney at the end of the 13th. You were asking the question earlier. Was that pre-show or was that the beginning?
Yeah.
Pinckney or who? What was the question?
Dante Wright.
Oh, yeah. Dante Wright or Sam Pinckney. Okay. Yeah. All right. 14th round. We went Elijah Cooks, back-to-back San Jose.
Love it.
States. I knew Andrew would love it. Needed another wide receiver anyway. Anything pop out to you there on that round? Probably not much.
Tinsley's like the most all over the map player.
Yeah.
He's gone like round 5 and then he's gone like round 18.
It's just really interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Say what you want.
I was just going to say it's really interesting to see like him versus Parker Washington.
Yeah.
Okay, so 15th round, I had to take a defense, took Penn State. It was whatever. The one that I thought was interesting in this round, though, was Jalen Robinson at Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's annoying. You can't get him here anymore.
Like the news broke like not long before this draft started, right? Wasn't it like a couple days? I mean, not that day, but it was like not long before this started. So
I took him 18 or 20th round, the day or two after he entered the portal. And someone was just like, why would you do that? And I was like, well, I mean, like he's talented. I'm just going to take a shot, right? Like, look at the other names here. Like Jalen McMillan's a dart throw.
Yeah.
Like some of these guys, right? Like Frank Gore is good, but like, you're typically picking stud running back. Like how often is he really going to be used, right? Like it's one of those things where at that time it made sense. Now he's going like 9th, 10th round and he's only going to get higher. Only going to get higher.
All right. So our last pick, Brew McCoy. Brew McCoy had to.
Gotta round it out.
I needed another wide receiver, and I was worried that one of those last 4 guys might grab him. No.
I hope that this is not impacting ADPs, by the way, because there was a requirement for a defense, and there's no shot some of these defenses are being picked this high. And
right.
Use it, right? Like, I think you said it earlier, Zach, right? Like, I was, 3 quarterbacks. If it wasn't, a smaller league, I think Leary would have been gone earlier.
Right.
Like, I think that's legitimate. And I think if you're impacting mock ADPs with this mock draft, it can very much skew the numbers.
Yeah. Well, Fantrax can do whatever they want. They can include it, exclude it, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Bob probably has that kind of pull.
By the way, Keenan Kristen, what do we think about him? He just transferred to San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean, it could play out awesomely. Clearly, It seems like you're interested.
I've already taken him twice in the 2 leagues I've been in.
I noted as much.
I love a San Diego State running back. I know you do too.
I do. Yeah, and none of the other guys who were there interested me at all. I loved might be a bit strong, but I was in on Christian when he semi broke out at USC a few years ago or a couple of years ago. And I had him in our Dynasty League. I think I cut him like in between one season and next because he just hasn't done anything recently. But his whole calling card is he's just like super, super fast, right? And it seems like he's not necessarily the smallest dude. So, I mean, we've seen what they've done with fast guys at San Diego State, right? So if he can get 15, 20 carries, you don't have to really dream too hard.
All right, we're going to make that segue real quick into our win totals segment. And we're going to go with San Diego State.
Was this determined pre-show, or did you just do that because
I just did it on the fly?
No, you
we need to do a Sunbelt team, by the way,
to get rid of the team names, right? Do you know what Idaho State is? Because I do.
Yeah, the Bengals.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I know the Vandals are up there, the Idaho, and then you got the Bengals. All right, San Diego State open up with Arizona.
What do you think the spread is there? I was looking at the game earlier today.
I'm going to
San
say
Diego State -6.
Correct.
Wow, I would have.
Nicely done.
I probably would have gone Zona by 3, but whatever.
That's because you're buying the media hype on Arizona. You guys got to get out of that.
No. All right. So we take win against.
So
okay. Let me get our Google Sheets spreadsheet up.
Our very official documentation.
San Diego State.
Chris, how unbiased are you able to be with San Diego State, considering Kriston and also considering their quarterback?
I'm not able to be unbiased, to be honest. I pull all in. And I just love that every single receiver is like number 90 something or like 44 or some crazy stuff like that. Like I can't help it. I'm smitten.
All right. Idaho State win at Utah. It's got to be a loss. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Toledo win.
Fun game. I think you give them one there, though, especially at home.
That is a fun game. Fox Network, too, by the way?
That's what it says.
I hope
so. Is the time to be announced there, or does it have a time? To be announced Eastern time.
Give me like a 9 p.m. Fox Network. Give me like a Fox Sports 1, 9:30 Eastern.
Yeah, on a Friday.
That'd be fun. That's a good one.
Yeah. All right, then I'm going to let you guys take this one at Boise on FS1.
On the blue turf?
On a Friday night.
No, that's a loss.
Yeah, that's a loss.
Okay. Hawaii at 10:30 Eastern time.
Not late enough for Hawaii to win.
But they're in San Diego, so
yeah, it's on the mainland. You gotta give them that one.
Win.
Are you counting, by the way, Zach?
No. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they have 4 wins. They're off after the Hawaii game, and they got Nevada at 10:30 Eastern on CBS Sports. I'm gonna say
they're beating Nevada.
Yeah,
it's already a sellout. By the way, you can't even buy tickets for it.
Is that your takeaway from that?
All right, at Fresno, I'm gonna say they lose that game.
Yeah, that'd be a good game.
It's a good one.
I think it'll be a good game. I think you got some old Fresno guys, some proven guys coming on. Off the bye week at Nevada is very easy to be like, yeah, they're going to win that one. But like at Fresno State, I think law of averages say they lose.
Yeah. Then they beat UNLV.
Yeah.
There. San Jose State.
Oh boy.
It'll be a fun game.
I think they lose.
What did we say they were going to do?
What did we
say? Ago?
Hold on. We said they were going 7-5, I think.
Well, there's too much that's changed in the last couple of weeks.
We have them winning 7. We had San Jose State winning 7. I'm gonna say they lose this game.
I think they lose. We have to be San Jose State bandwagoners at this point.
Yeah.
And then they at New Mexico.
Yep.
Win, and then Air Force to close it out. I think they win, but that's a tricky one. But I think they win.
Am I correct? So I got all the push notifications from FBS schedules when all the game times were officially being announced, but a ton of them were, I think, about the Mountain West Conference moving all of their schedule from the last week to Friday, to Black Friday. I think every single game that week is now like a Black Friday game.
They moved a bunch.
I know the Boise game got moved. I think is it Utah State?
Or it's either them or Colorado State.
Yeah.
I think it might be Utah State, but they got moved to Friday.
Yeah.
At like what's interesting, it got moved to like noon or 1 Eastern.
Yeah, it was Utah State.
Yeah, noon. And it's like, oh, okay, we're playing this at 9 o'clock local or 10 o'clock.
They did that last year too. Do you remember how bad that game was?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, theoretically speaking, bad. I loved every second of it.
We got to run through this. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are we good with 8 and 4?
I think 8.
So did you give them? What was the outcome of Air Force?
We have them beating Air Force. It's a tricky, tough game, but I think they can beat Air Force
because we don't have G5 totals for better bettable yet, so we have no benchmark to compare our estimates against.
We have to be over, right? Like the over under on this has to be 7 or 7.5.
I don't know. They're always like a 10-win team somehow.
I think a lot of people in Vegas like Burmeister, so that's my only thought. They might be pro.
Vegas and Atlanta.
Are we cool with 8?
I like it. Okay.
So I picked this one, Chris. What direction you want to go?
We have to do a Sun Belt, and my favorite Sun Belt team is Louisiana. So let's do Louisiana.
Here we go. All right.
Why are they your favorite?
I used to live there.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. It's so wild.
I mean, I was like literally 7.
Andrew,
so like, who cares? But
do you know what southeastern Louisiana is?
Is that the Mud Dogs?
No. Is it like the Dragons or something?
The Lions.
Oh, I never would have guessed that.
Okay, so we have them winning that game, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's on ESPN Plus for those who care. And then they get Eastern Michigan.
So win. I mean, so I think that just reading about them, it seems like they've set themselves up for a continuation of a lot of what Napier's done. They promoted internally. One of the reasons why they were so successful with Napier was not just Napier being amazing, but also the commitment and the understanding that the program and Napier had with one another. So I feel like sometimes you see, especially at the G5 level, where you can find a little more of an advantage. Like a coach can come in, input his system, recruit a little bit, and that will lend itself to success. But I think when you have a school that is good at identifying a succession plan, actually knows what they need to do from an infrastructure, from a commitment and support perspective to the program itself, like that's the way that you actually have success across multiple coaches, and I think that's what we have here.
All right.
And they lost like 2 running backs, right? And they lose Levi Lewis. But like this just feels like a program that just continues. And I don't think like Levi Lewis was like that good to like.
Have you read about their QB situation this year?
I have not.
So I just, when I was like bored in January and February and starting to just like try and figure out depth charts and stuff, I initially just had them penciled in for Lance LaGrange, or however you say his name, the dude that started off at like Florida State or Maryland.
Yeah.
Filled at Maryland and then went there because I was like, oh, 4-star, he's going to go. He's like QB5. Like he can't even come close to seeing the field. It's down to some guy named Chandler Fields that I know nothing about, and Ben Wooldridge, who like walked on from Fresno State. So, but I mean, they can presumably one of them can do a good enough job handing the ball off to Chris Smith and then hitting the receivers and tight ends 10, 15 yards down the field.
It's just such an interesting offense because, I mean, it is so hard to name anyone other than the running backs and Levi Lewis last year. But like you literally, I remember one of my buddies, Ben Kramer, won the showdown with Louisiana with literally all 4 of them. That was like that big Montreal Johnson game. And that like defies all DFS logic, but that's just who Louisiana is. So I'm very curious to see how they start doing like running back by committee, if they do it. But like they have Chris Smith and he's great. So like if they don't, then it's not a big loss. But we should continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Win, and then at Rice week 3.
Think you win. It's like Luke McCaffrey, isn't it? Like
I think he's a receiver now. But yeah, it's a win.
It's a win.
All right. At Louisiana Monroe.
Rivalry game.
I do love Monroe, but even without Rich Rod, now moving on to Jacksonville State. I can't wait to talk about Rich Rod next year when they're D1. It's gonna be so much fun.
I think this is our first like close to 50-50 game, so I would be cool leaning the other way in our next. But I think we can go win and then just potentially lean the other way in the next one.
Yeah, it's a win over ULM.
All right. Then they get South Alabama for homecoming. Win.
It's a win.
Yep. So now they're 5-0.
See, I guess this is how they go like 10-2, 11-1 every year. Just look at the schedule.
Then they're off. Then they get at Marshall. I would go loss there.
I can't say loss when Henry Colomby is the quarterback of Marshall.
It's at Marshall is my only
good game.
Yeah,
but it is a Wednesday.
It is.
I think this is our counter 50-50. I think
what
this
a
is
waste.
The other 50-50.
They just played it in bowl last year, in the Superdome, right? That in the New Orleans Bowl, and and Louisiana. They played in the bowl game last year, and I think Louisiana won pretty handily. And obviously, a lot has changed, including Marshall now being part of the Sun Belt, right? Well,
they crushed that game though. Like Louisiana just dominates that Superdome game.
So,
historically speaking,
I am more concerned about this bye week situation. You get a bye week, and you really don't even get a bye. It's
extra 4 days.
Yeah,
but then you get like it's kind of like 1.5 bye week because like the next week you get another one.
Another way off too. Yeah.
At home again. That's a good.
That's how they sold it. They sold it.
Look, we're going to screw you on your bye week, but you'll have on the back end, you'll have an extra couple of days.
I think they're used to it. Like I just think all these like MAC and Sunbelt teams are used to it because you enter a certain time of year and all of a sudden you're playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and then you're playing on a Saturday and you're back to a Tuesday. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
All right. So did we pick them to win or lose against Marshall? I picked them to lose.
I think they lose, and then I think they come back and win Arkansas State.
Definitely win Arkansas State.
Yeah.
Did you both pick the loss for Marshall?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So 6-1 after Arkansas State.
All right. So 6-1 at Southern Miss.
My boys.
Southern Miss?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I'm a big fan this year. I think they're gonna be great, but not good enough to beat Louisiana.
Yeah, that's a win for me.
Okay, win. Troy,
another win.
Yeah,
I don't know what the difference is between Troy and all the other teams. So like what I'm saying, like unless their defense is incredible, because we don't obviously do defense all that much.
All right. So the schedule is spicing up a little bit. You got Georgia Southern on a Thursday night. Win.
They don't play App State this year.
Dude, there's something with the Fun Belt where it's wildly imbalanced from a divisional perspective, right? Like the one is totally loaded, and the other one is like Louisiana just always.
They almost always play App State. I think it's this edition of Marshall.
Yeah.
That's throwing it off.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think they beat Georgia Southern.
Southern.
I think it's close, but I think they beat Georgia Southern.
And they go at Florida State.
Oh, so good. Travis will be hurt by then.
40%
after he's ran the ball 200 times in the first 8 games.
We picked them to lose that game.
I think you have to pick them to lose, and then you
if you're not picking them there, if you're not picking them to lose, like the only loss they're gonna have is Marshall.
Dude, I mean, this is what they do.
Just where they're at in their lives, Florida State.
Yeah. So let's pick them to lose Florida State, and then at Texas State, they win.
Yeah,
10-2.
So 10-2. I think that's pretty fair, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, one more team, Andrew.
What do you think their over-under will be? There's nothing out yet, but it's got to be like 10.5.
10.5. I would say.
You think so? I think it would be like 9.5.
Where are you picking them to lose? I mean, we picked Marshall and Florida State.
I think Arkansas State, Florida State.
But they could easily just beat Marshall. Just like but there's like 4 games on the schedule. You're like,
Marshall.
They could lose that game.
I don't know. I'm curious to see how many 10+ win teams are in Vegas. Yeah. And I don't think there will be that many. I'd be surprised if Louisiana makes that cut, personally. But I could be wrong.
Let me ask you this. If Florida State replaced them with, let's just say, Florida A&M.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Is there – no. Is there over under 11?
I think it would just go to like 10, 10.5, and then like heavy juice on the over.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. All right, Andrew, you got the last team. Or do we want to go into the Discord, see if somebody –
Yeah, I'm unprepared, so go there.
You're unprepared. Let's see. Did we even ask this week? I don't know that we asked. I think I may not have asked, but I'll just pull from what we had before.
Shame.
And we will do –
Can we do Southern Miss?
If you want.
If somebody requested Sunbelt. So, are they Sunbelt now?
Why is this not?
Always? Yeah, them and Marshall are both Sunbelt.
No.
They used to be Conference USA, correct? I'm not thinking crazy, right? Okay. Let's do Southern Miss. I think that would be a fun one. And they requested Sunbelt, so we're just giving the people what they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick before we get into this, because I'm not fully well versed in Southern Miss. Andrew, what do we think is going to happen? Like, what do we going into the season, generally speaking? What do you expect out of Southern Miss?
So I expect continued market improvement. They just seeing them succeed in given all the realities with their quarterback situation last year. Relative success, winning a couple of games with Frank Gore and friends at quarterback, playing tough, hanging tough with UTSA in the same scenario. I think that they overcame a lot of adversity from coach's first year. You look at their returning production numbers. I reference that stuff like I actually know what I'm talking about, but really I pulled it up for the first time ever like 2 hours ago when I was trying to figure out what defenses to draft for Mike's Best Ball. They return like 80% on one side of the ball and 85% on the other side of the ball. So continued growth. I like Will Hall as a coach. I think he's a lively guy. So it seems like he endears himself to players. I don't really have strong takes about their offensive philosophy and system, just in the sense that I don't know what we really could have taken away from actually seeing a team need to play a representative portion of its games with running backs playing quarterback last year. But
yeah, they were
drafting some of their players, just because I don't know, for all the reasons that I've mentioned. Like, I just kind of like the team. I think that when you show success in those circumstances, that it bodes well for your future. So I really would love to take the over on their win total, but I think what we'll see here is the schedule doesn't set up super friendly, but that might just mean maybe we'll see a really low number.
Well, maybe they'll do better than they did last year. They won 3 games.
What a weird season, though. They were crazy hurt. I will say Will Hall seems like one of those coaches that takes a 4-win team and makes them an 8-win team. I think there's a certain level of value and chemistry in all facets of life, whether it's sports or business or whatever. And I think you see this is the perfect situation for a team that really shouldn't win 7 games, 8 games, and they do it just because their coach is cool. He's literally one of those guys that's he feels it almost feels like he's kind of playing Madden, and he's well, shoot, all my quarterbacks are hurt. Who's the fastest guy we got? Let's try it, right? He's the inner coach in all of us. So I'm a fan. I would love to see them be successful, if not just to see Frank Gore Jr. be successful, because I think the Frank Gore family is amazing. So
definitely.
Let's run through this real quick. So they open up with Liberty.
So what do you think the line is?
Liberty by 6?
4.
I was gonna say Yeah, I was gonna say like
the biggest showing the Will Halls some respect, making it only a 4-point game.
Okay.
I think it's close. I mean, I think you have to lead Liberty, but I think it's an interesting game that they could potentially win.
Okay. At Miami, be a loss.
Tough to craft an argument for a win there.
Right. Well, they get the bounce back with Northwestern State.
Yep.
So win.
Do you know their mascot? I don't, and I should.
Devils. I think they're the Devils or something, right?
Probably.
Hold on, I'll tell you.
Feels like a Wildcat.
Demons.
No,
Demons. Nicely done.
All right. At Tulane.
You don't think you could have scheduled the second easy game in non-con, like before you go into that hellacious Sun Belt schedule? Tulane's in a weird spot, right? Coming off a year that people expected a lot better from them. At Tulane, I don't know. It's tough to give them a win.
Is Tulane their fourth non-conference? That's AAC, right? Like,
yeah, but they're
Lord, they could have done. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they could have. Man, they really could have done themselves a favor here. Like, what are they gaining from that game?
Tulane had a weird season last year.
Yeah,
because like they probably should have beaten Oklahoma week 1, and then they beat Morgan State, and they played Ole Miss, and then like they were in almost all their games, and then they just.
How many concussions does Michael Pratt have by this game?
Right. That's important.
He's going the Jack Abraham route.
All right, so do we have? I think Tulane. I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't know. I would lean Tulane. I would just take. I think they have some talented offensive guys, and at Tulane, I think it'd be smart just to go that route.
Andrew, you cool with Tulane?
Yeah, I'm fine giving it to Tulane. So 1-3. But then check out that coming off the bye, that nice cushy 3-game stretch we got coming up there. I see our road to a 3-game winning streak.
Okay, so at Troy, win.
You can get behind
I'm fine with that. Okay. Troy's got. You're not going to put up an argument for the Troy win. I can just sneak that one by you.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I'll give you that one too. I don't have a problem with
that. I got to pick him to win some games, I think.
Troy's got a new coach coming in, and I conveniently left them off my initial depth charts, and as a result, didn't draft any Troy players for months.
Quick story about Troy. I remember I was driving. I might have been to Atlanta, or I don't remember where I was going. Maybe I was going down to like Florida or something, and we drove through Alabama for a lot part of it. Oh, because my father-in-law lives in Birmingham, so we went down like that way. And I remember, like, just all of a sudden we were driving, and here's Troy University right here. Like, I had no idea where it was. I knew it was in Alabama, but like all of a sudden there it was in front of me. And I'm like, okay,
isn't Troy in Troy? Like, it's like very vague. It's like, yeah, well, where is it? Well, it's in Troy. Well, like that doesn't help me.
Right. All right. We got the win against Troy. Arkansas State.
To win. Dude, you seem like you have this high opinion of Arkansas State. I think it's based off of the success that Blake Henderson had there. But
I think what it really is that I'm like an hour from Arkansas State, and they talk about them a lot more around here. So it's just in the news a lot more. I have a different, like a biased view of them.
Sure. I mean, they were bad last year, and I think
so was Southern Miss, and so was Tulane.
It really is getting better though at Arkansas State this year. I think they continue to go downhill from the Blake Anderson glory years.
It really is crazy to live in Memphis.
They won 2 games too.
Because, like, how are you an hour from Arkansas State?
Jonesboro is like, once you cross over the river, then you just take I-55 up north and you'll run right through Jonesboro.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're near like 10 states.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yep. Right. Like, I can get to Missouri in like 2 hours.
Tennessee's right there.
And you live in Mississippi, but there's also Memphis, Tennessee.
Correct.
And you just talked about going to Birmingham.
Exactly. Like, the South is just one. It's all one in the South.
I think you just live in the perfect Bermuda Triangle of Southeast America.
Call it that, I guess. Okay, let's move on. Texas State.
That's a win.
Win. Okay. Hold on. Did we say, what did we conclude with Arkansas State?
We called it a win. We called it a win. We called it a win.
All right. At Texas State. Win.
Win.
Yeah.
Louisiana's loss. We've already gone over that.
We can't relitigate that one.
Yeah. we can justify 3 weeks. We can't justify 15.
Same
games.
night. Yeah. Georgia State at home. I'm gonna give them.
I don't have a problem with it. If we really believe in the juice, if we're drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm cool with it. If we're not, this feels kind of 50-50-ish, but I'm down to drink the Kool-Aid.
I'm fine with the loss. I respect Georgia State as a program. I think they're doing good things over there.
So loss then.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Doesn't matter to me. At Coastal Carolina, loss.
Yeah.
And then South Alabama.
That's a win.
Win. And then at ULM to close.
I would like to give them a win at ULM.
I'm down with that. It puts them at 6, I think, right? They had 1 going into the bye, and they won 3 straight.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Schedule is more manageable than I initially thought.
6 wins.
Yeah.
But there's lots of room for that to.
that either is 4 or 8.
Yeah, 3 or 4 or 8.
Yeah. All right. One last thing I want to go over. We have in the Discord, if people are listening to us right now. So the Discord, we have some polls up to create a Dynasty League, the BTR, the very first BTR Dynasty League. People in the Discord have voted on league settings and configuration and everything. So I'm going to post the link here in the chat of the video. How do I do that? All right, right here. And then I'm going to post it in the Discord. So if you haven't joined our Discord, now would be a great time to do so. And that link is posted on our Twitter account. I can also post that again for those of you that want to do so. But I think that's all we've got for tonight. You guys got anything to add before we go?
Join the league. If everybody joins it, then we'll make a combined team. Otherwise, then I'll have to do it
16
myself.
teams. But if you're in the Discord, you already knew that.
45 players per team feels rather steep, Zach, but we give the people what they want.
I didn't pick that. It was just one of the things.
You gave it as an option.
I gave it as an option. You're right.
You should have thought about that.
Well, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But all right, that's all we got tonight. Next week we'll be back, and that's all we got. So until next time, later, guys.
Have a good one. See you.